With the Pistons up 1-0. Pick it up. Yes. Career playoff game with more turnovers than made field goals. And Detroit goes on to win it by 10. A continuation of Harden's struggles from game one. So far in this series, James Harden has shot 32% from the floor. He has more turnovers than made shots. In the fourth quarter last night, he had a -9 rating, one shot attempt, and that was a miss. So James Harden was brought to Cleveland to be the piece that put them over the top. How's that working out right now?
Not too great. Guys, you know what I hate more than anything, and it happens, I hate casuals, right? I hate casuals that are online, that come in online and say their opinion but don't really watch the game or don't really study the game or know any of the strategy or scouting report. And then I don't understand casual energy when you're down 1-0 in the second round of the playoffs. And a lot of times when I watch James, and Vince, we talked about earlier, maybe this is just who he is, but there's a lot of casual energy when he plays. I mean, 10 assists, 11 turnovers. How about in his 9 playoff games? 47 turnovers, only 52 made field goals.
Yeah.
Okay, so just the casual, one-handed passes, I'm going to try to split, but I'm not going to get really down and bend my legs and get deep. That energy is something that would bother me. Donovan Mitchell could be better. But you need James Harden to be an addition and to at least do his thing, passing the ball, making people better. He's not bringing that type of playoff energy.
I mean, we're talking about LeBron James, 41 years old. We're talking about James Harden, 36. When you're going deeper into the season, you're tired. These Detroit legs are young legs. They're attacking him. And I think also Evan Mobley, 1 rebound. That is a generational talented big. You cannot have a game where you have just 1 rebound. Cleveland's problems extend with James Harden, but also beyond James Harden. And their number one problem is the Detroit Pistons, because they are intent on kicking their ass.
And so far, they're doing a good job of it, up 2 games to none. Tim, how about it, though, on Harden? He's obviously, he's the legendary player in this. He's had an enormous career, but unfortunately, a huge part of his storyline has been playoff struggles, and this year seems to be as bad as it's been. What are the right things to say this morning?
He is an all-time great regular season player. He has never been an all-time great playoff performer. I mean, you said the stat, 30 games now with more turnovers than buckets. That is a shocking number, but it makes sense if you've watched James Harden's career. His playoff history is littered with just ugly flameouts, disappointing performances, and now this is a 36-year-old version of James Harden playing against a young, tough, athletic Detroit Pistons team. Trading for James Harden to push you over the top in the playoffs was always a questionable move.
I'm so mad at myself because when they made this trade, I remember the conversation that I was hearing was, this is all of a sudden the Cavs are, and I wanted to say at the time, and I wish I had because I'd be on record.
Ain't you seen his movies?
And now I can't prove it. And I wanted to say at the time, wait a minute, when was it that getting James Harden put you over the top of anything? That's literally been the opposite of what his entire career has been so far.
But in addition to that, when does getting James Harden make you a tougher team?
Yeah.
And I think that's what we're all seeing here. Like, this series is going to question the toughness of the Cleveland Cavs. And by the way, the Pistons are just punking them. They're punking them like soft tissue paper.
I say so many dumb things. Why couldn't I have said the one smart one? That frustrates me. All right, let's get Fortenbaugh back into this. It's 2-0 Pistons. What are you looking at? What's the smart money in Game 3?
So this isn't going to make a lot of sense given everything everyone's just said, but I would look to Cleveland minus the 4.5. Game open 2.5. Immediately got bet up for a few good reasons. Number one, teams down 0-2, coming home in a desperation spot for Game 3. They tend to pop. You got the crowd noise and you got the rise of the role players. So I'd look to bet them in the first half as well. On top of this, Detroit's 44% from deep so far this series. You know they can go cold. We saw it in the Orlando series. One of those games is coming. I would bet Cleveland here.
We had this conversation this morning over breakfast. The psychology, when we've seen something, everyone goes and races to bet on that side of it, usually going the other way, is the smart move. All right, our break is 2 minutes and 2 minutes only. We'll be back in those 2.
But how many awesome postseason performances have we seen out of Josh Allen? You know, Lamar, yes, has stumbled in the playoffs, but sometimes we can assign that to game plan. You know, them abandoning the run when they played the Chiefs in the playoffs. There's just more nuance and context, I think, to other star players who have struggled in team sports in the postseason. And for James Harden, last night, to miss 10 of 13 shots, he's limited to 10 points, 4 turnovers, including that consequential one with 33 seconds left when the Cavs trailed by only 6 points. You're like, I expect it to happen because I've seen it for nearly 2 decades now with James Harden in the postseason. But guys, Myron, every time it happens, I'm stunned. I'm still stunned every time I see it happen, even though it should be expected at this point.
Well, I think that's the thing. Like, I don't know why we're kind of expecting something new from James Harden. I think the narrative about him is going to be something that's hard for him to kind of escape because he's had so much autonomy and power in his career. James Harden has made all the decisions about where he goes. I don't want to be in OKC with KD and Russell Westbrook. Goes to Houston. Then he goes with his buddies in Brooklyn, Philly, L.A., and then he decides, you know what? I actually don't want to be in L.A. Send me to play with Cleveland next to Donovan Mitchell. So he's had all this ability to say where he plays and who he plays with, and yet he's in the same situation over and over. I think it'll be a cloud over his legacy when he's done playing the game.
So I totally agree on the James Harden thing. It's weird to think that the Lakers could be down 2-0 and then complaining that LeBron gets no calls and that not be the most interesting storyline from last night. That's wild to even say in itself.
Or that the Thunder look like they're going to cruise to another championship.
Like unbeatable.
By the way, their best player has been playing under his averages in Shai Gilgeous-Alexander.
And it doesn't matter.
Arguably their second best player in Jalen Williams is out, and they're 6-0 in the playoffs. And a guy they traded for midseason, Jared McCain, dropped 18 off the bench. I don't know that Philly sold high. Anyway, the point on Harden is this. Let's first acknowledge the positives. He's going to go in the Hall of Fame. Why is that? Scoring machine, won an MVP, rarely if ever misses games, 17 postseason appearances in his career. That's insane. Every year he's been in the league, he's been in the playoffs, I believe. But whether it's Oklahoma City or Houston or Brooklyn or Philly or the Clippers or now Cleveland, he always comes up short in the playoffs. And I will continue to direct the ire at somebody that I thought was a great coach in Kenny Atkinson. It's not that dissimilar to what we've said about Rodgers. I don't blame Rodgers for doing exactly what he's always done. I blame the Steelers for allowing it. I don't blame James Harden for playing late in games in the postseason when his coach inserts him in those games and never coming up over his averages or to his averages, because that's what he's always done. I blame Kenny Atkinson. This is now on him. James Harden is an unplayable player late in postseason games. Myron, you could shake your head and say, how can you take him out? I'll get the salute. Dennis Schroeder, I'd rather have late in the game. Max Strus, I'd rather have late in the game. I do not want James Harden turning the ball over like he did at 103-97 with yet again last night with more turnovers and field goals made. He shoots 9% from behind the arc in this series. He is a turnover machine who does not find his way out of it by doing other things. He's not making up for it by playing defense, right? Kobe Bryant in the 2010 NBA Finals had one of the worst offensive games he's ever had. I want to say he was 6 of 24 in Game 7 against the Celtics. He pulled down 15 rebounds as a shooting guard because basically he's like, I can't hit any of my shots today. What else can I do? Harden, who has been an assist machine, correct me if I'm wrong on those numbers, please, Smalls. Harden's been an assist machine in his career. He's not even doing that. Myron, he's not providing them value late in games here.
No, I mean, the struggles are clear. I'm with you. But the ceiling is so much higher than Max Strus and Dennis Schroeder or wherever you would want to put in his place. If you were Kenny Atkinson, you would not sit James Harden. Evan, if you were the head coach of the Cleveland Cavs in that moment, you wouldn't say, you know what? Bring in two guys who aren't Hall of Famers. Bring in two guys who aren't perennial All-Stars. And I know what you think about Dennis Schroeder. Bring in two guys who aren't on the 75th anniversary team to close out the show. So I don't think you would actually do that in that situation. That's not real.
Okay. You're saying I wouldn't, and we're saying Kenny Atkinson wouldn't. Whoever you deem, Myron Metcalf, who's the best basketball coach of your lifetime?
Ever? Maybe Phil Jackson.
Would Phil Jackson do it?
No.
So you're telling me blindly no coach would have the guts to say, you, Mr. Harden, Hall of Famer, you consistently are terrible in these moments. I can't have you in these moments anymore.
No, it just wouldn't happen. Why? Because it's not just about that game. The way you treat a star also affects the games ahead. You're worried about their confidence. You know that that's your best option, even when they're struggling. Like the idea that you're saying Max Strus and Dennis Schroeder are going to be the guys to finish a playoff game over a guy who's a perennial all-star, I don't think that's a real decision you would actually make. I get the struggles of James Harden. We all agree that he hasn't shown up in the postseason, but making that personnel move in that moment, no NBA coach would ever do that.
But then should they have even brought him into the organization period?
I just don't know their options. Like Darius Garland's young and injured, and he's not living up to whatever you thought his ceiling was. You're trying to convince Donovan Mitchell to sign a massive extension this offseason. You're trying to bring in another star to tell him you can play next to this guy for the rest of your career or the prime of your career and compete for a championship. I don't know that Cleveland had many options. Small market teams don't have access to all these free agents that everybody else gets access to.
Mm-hmm.
You've got to get it through a trade or the draft. I don't know what Cleveland could have done beyond this.
But he was brought in to be a steadying force and to take some of this off Donovan Mitchell and get them to a different place in the postseason. And we're sitting here saying, why should we have expected anything different from him? So should they have even viewed him as the answer?
I didn't like the trade at the time, and I don't like it now, and I totally agree with your point. And I don't like the fact that Joel Embiid is offering all these tickets to people to come to the game in Philly, and he hasn't PayPal'd you the money yet, Smalls, to go to the game tonight. What's up with that?
Joel, I have said this time and time again publicly.
You'll show up. You'll go.
I will go. Hit me up on my PayPal account because PayPal is proud